Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Josh. Welcome back to another toy review, and today we're here to take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem Baxter Stockman. So yeah, finally we're about to... I'm sorry, huh? What? Also, this is not Baxter Stockman? But that makes no sense. It's him. He got the whole fly get up and everything. Oh, come on, we did this last time. Also, his name is Superfly now? Oh, Jesus. How do we explain that? Anyway. So, yeah, pretty much. So, for this incarnation of the Ninja Turtles, of course, this is based off of the recent film that came out back in August. So, the new villain, the sort of main villain, is not Shredder. It's actually a brand new character named Superfly, voiced by Ice Cube. Literally. I mean, that's such an interesting combination. I mean, yeah, it's interesting to see how they kind of take that idea, because for the most part, and I'm just going to do a little bit, just kind of push him on the side to kind of give you a little bit of an example here. So obviously, yeah, he's very heavily kind of inspired to be Baxter to an extent, you know, because as we all know, if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, we know that Baxter, he's basically like the crazy scientist who used to work for, Shredder and all, and then of course he ends up mutating into a fly. Well, that's only for if you ever watched the original cartoon. Every other versions of Baxter Stockman has either been slightly different or kind of the same. The 2003 TMNT series, he became more of a cyborg because Shredder was just chopping him up into pieces, literally. And then of course you got the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon, where they actually did a bit of both. He had the whole kind of robot but also buggy aspect, where eventually he did mutate it around season 2 of the show. And then of course now we got Superfly, which is weird because I guess according to how the movie is, I guess that for this version, Superfly and Baxter Stockman are actually not the same character, apparently. I still haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say for sure. Although I know that what is confirmed for sure is that he's kind of responsible for the mutations, but honestly, I can't really say for sure. Because like I say, if I haven't seen the movie, I don't like to give away misinformation like that. I really hate to do that, but just to kind of give you an idea, it's nice that they basically reinvented the character, but kind of did it slightly different, even though they're both meant to be two different people, which I think that's fine. That's perfectly okay. And of course, we do get a very nice, menacing villain for sure. I really do love the way he looks. He looks fantastic. But before we talk about how he looks, obviously we need to talk about what they come in. Nice little card backs, as you can see here. So for each of these basic figures, they all come in your sort of card back. Well, I forgot what you call it. I'm sorry, it's been a while. Oops. Basically, yeah, that's what they all come in. Usually, I always have a hard time finding the ones that match, but finally, after going through my desks and all that, I finally found the one that actually is his. You know, I got his profile and everything right there. So if I just set the camera down just a little tiny bit, just to kind of give you a little bit of a nice little glimpse, and then of course it shows all the other characters and during the first wave, because yes, this toy line is not done yet. For the most part, the rest of the figures should be hitting stores. Obviously during my last toy hunt, I haven't really seen any, but you know that they're bound to pop up at some point. So of course this is his little profile pic. I love his menace meter. It's like almost all the way. You know, and alright, that's interesting, of course, and that's how he is. And obviously, as you can tell, the art style, it's slightly different from how the toy kind of shows a little bit. I mean, it's kind of hard to say for sure. I mean, I have noticed maybe some differences. What I mean by that is that definitely for sure, if you compare how like he looks in the movie and then in his toy form, I can't help but maybe notice a couple of differences, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, the painting and sculpting and everything for the most part is still spot on, and it definitely, you know, it at least does look like Baxter. I mean, no, not... You see, now I'm doing it too. I mean, yeah, he has the same getup. He even has, like, the same hair, you know, and judging by, like, the clothing and all that, you know, it's very reminiscent, you know, but for the most part, they're probably not the same character, but I don't know, you know, so I do apologize for that. Oh, now that's something we need to talk about, so that's cool. So he definitely got some interesting articulation going on. I love how menacing he looks. Like, this is generally a very well-designed villain for sure. You know, and then of course, got the giant, like, thick arm, of course. You know, you got that sort of power grip going on. Unfortunately, yeah, he has a claw, but it's not open. It's just kind of like that, so it's sculpted. permanently like that. Besides the fact that you can spin his hand full 360, so at least he's good within that range, which is nice. And then if you want him to grab, you know, you could definitely do that to a degree. You get like tiny little arms right here because obviously, I mean, you know, he's a fly, but you know, he's kind of like a weird hybrid. I do like what they did with the legs though, because I think it's pretty obvious that they kind of knew he was going to be kind of hard to stand. So they try to be a little bit creative with, you know, how you could stand them up, obviously. So as you can see, not only does he, not only does he got like that weird kind of nail thing going on, but he also has like a nice leftover shoe, which definitely helps out with the balance. Although I do kind of wonder, I don't know if that's like a thing in the film. I don't know if he just has like a random shoe hanging around. I mean, I would assume maybe, but like I say, I can't really say too much for the most part without really watching the film. Because the problem is that most of the characters that we've seen, we've all kind of known them from previous, you know, entries within the series. But because Superfly is a kind of new villain introduced within this new universe, I guess, it's hard to really say for sure what sort of parallels we have between him and then Baxter. But of course he has the same aesthetic. He even got the nice little clear wings. Although the only thing though is that I don't know what wings match and what doesn't, because you see how nice and yellow they are. They kind of, you know what this kind of reminds me of? Almost, this kind of reminds me of like back in like the 2000s or so when you used to have like blister cards. And if they were ever put in areas where people used to smoke a lot, obviously the plastic carding turned a little yellowy. I don't really know if you guys know what I mean by that, but that's what that reminds me of. Kind of adds on to that gross factor. And then of course, obviously when you do buy him, the wings actually do come detached. You actually kind of have to sort of put them on for the most part. I think it comes in two pieces. It comes like that, you gotta insert it, and then there's a nice little separate piece that you gotta put on there. As weird as that is, it's kind of creative because you can actually pretend if you want, maybe they're fighting and they chop one of his wings off or something. I think that's a little neat. I don't think that was intentional, but I thought I'd just kind of mention that anyway, you know? And then of course, back to what I was saying with the comparison, you know, I mean, I don't know if like, I don't really know what color his wings are supposed to be, you know? I mean, on the card back, it shows that it's just kind of grayish, whitish. But in the film, I know it's like some promotional material, it's a different color too. Sorry, so I don't know, it's hard to really say. But besides the detailing and all that, let's do go over a little bit of the articulation, because it's quite interesting for the most part. Like I say, because he got those tiny little stubby legs, he does have maybe a little bit of issues standing, and especially with that big arm, so you kind of do have to balance it out a little bit, but not too much. It's not bad for the most part. You know, he only got 2 points on each arm. You know, he can move this far, he can move that far, no wrist swivel, except for the giant meat claw he got going on here. He can do that, so that's fine. It's pretty nice. I do like the way he looks kind of. And then, you know, the legs, obviously they could go that far back and all. That's a pretty good range, actually. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do with that, but, you know. I think what I like the most, definitely my favorite part about the figure, obviously, is the tilting of the head. You can actually like move it around like that, so if you want him to actually like fly and do stuff, I do like that a lot. I think it adds a lot towards the figure, and it definitely reminds me of like the 2012 Baxter Stockman figure, where he kind of has that same thing kind of going on, where you could move his head up a little bit to where you can make him fly and all that, and it does work. I shouldn't be doing this comparison because obviously they're not the same character, but if you want to just to kind of get a good idea how they look, there you go. So for the most part, that's kind of how he is. You know, still well designed, but of course now we need to talk about his added accessories. So I'm gonna put that to the side, put him right over here, and let's take a look. So of course he comes with 6 accessories. He comes with a battle racket, you know, and a couple of unique weapons. You got his sort of main one right here, which is like a sort of weird blaster. Very reminiscent of like classic Baxter Stockman from the cartoons, because if you ever watched the original show, he has something kind of similar to that. He also has like this really weird like needle gun. I do like that around. I don't know why, I get like weird Resident Evil vibes with it. I feel like I've seen this somewhere in one of the games or in one of the movies, but I'm honestly not too sure. I shouldn't even be mentioning the movies because technically they don't count, but you get the idea. I don't know why my camera doesn't want to focus, but don't worry, we'll go over each one. Got some test tubes. This is definitely one of my favorite. It kind of brings out the sort of science aesthetic. I really do like that he comes with this. It makes it very unique. Yeah, a little bit that extra plastic does kind of hurt it a little bit, but it's not too bad. He even comes with an even tinier one, you know, like for little samples. Looks pretty nice. I like how you can still see the detail too. You can see like the vial and like the measurements. Fantastic. And then definitely the biggest one that stands out the most is his turtle swatter, because this is a weapon that was actually well, not included, but of course very similar to the original Baxter Stockman action figure, where he had that almost exact same weapon but slightly different, obviously. I mean, I love that. Can't wait to kind of pose him with it. And before I move on, I do want to say, you know, with the whole battle racket situation, because I know that each one kind of varies, so you're probably wondering, how do I know that this is his? Because his is actually kind of skinny and much more taller, just to kind of give you an idea. Not to mention that out of the packaging, it was like slightly slanted. So what I mean by that is that it was slightly warped at first, but I did manage to fix it up a little bit. So I thought I'd just kind of point that out, because obviously most of the battle rackets that they come with, they're kind of the same, but not really. There's always going to be some sort of weird slight difference. But of course, let's compare him with the weapon. So we got his main one right here. I'm assuming that he just kind of fires with it. I don't know what kind of relevancy it has, but it definitely kind of matches up his sort of idea. You know, the only bad thing, obviously, it fits perfect, but the moment you kind of move it around, luckily he still holds on to it, which is great. It's only when if he knocks into someone, there might be a chance. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there might be a chance it's gonna like fly off. So that's not entirely bad, honestly, especially when you consider that some Ninja Turtle figures, especially the 2012, you know, series, they definitely had their fair share of action figures where they couldn't really hold the weapons properly, which was kind of disappointing. But luckily, that's not the case with him. It just so happens that obviously with the way that his hand is gripped, it's a little bit, you know, it can be a little bit off-putting sometimes, but not too bad. You can still do some nice stuff with it. I mean, you can still get him into some unique poses and kind of do that. I mean, yeah, the front of the blaster doesn't really look right, but okay, you know, it's alright, I guess, you know. Or, I mean, if you don't want to pose him with that, you could pose him with the syringe needle gun thing. I'm assuming that's what it is. I have no idea. I mean, it looks unique. I like the way it looks, you know. Kind of makes you wish that he could hold on to it. Honestly, you know what? It just looks like a weird gun. I mean, he does got some gangster vibes. You know, like, you know, not gonna lie. I don't know what it is. I guess if you wanted to, I mean, with his tiny little hands, if you want to make him act as some kind of storage for him to hold his weapons, you could, but not really. I don't know. I mean, it still looks cool. Don't get me wrong, I still like the way it is. Kind of has the same issue, does kind of come off a little easily, and then of course you got his little testes right here, the little vials is just kind of foaming right there. So I guess if you want him to like kind of maybe act it out like some sort of like grenade or a bomb he could throw. Unfortunately, he does not hold it all that well, unless you want to, I mean, I don't know why you would want to do that, it's upside down. I don't know. Luckily, despite the bottom part being kind of circular, you can still kind of stand it up pretty nicely, so I think that's still pretty good. At least you got that going on. And of course, you got the vials. You know, I mean, you can also stand them up with no issues, surprisingly. You know, slightly slanted due to the little bit of plastic left over, but still perfectly good. Pretty good for the most part, you know. That's fine. And then, of course, we got our personal favorite, the Turtle Swatter. And this is animal cruelty to the max, because you even got a poor little turtle on there. That's a poor little innocent soul right there. And yes, it is confirmed that that's what that weapon is called. It's called the Turtle Swatter. Although I don't know if that's just because of Ninja Turtle fans, or if that's like the official name for the weapon. And then, of course, if you wanted to, he could hold it. He could swat it. You know, he could definitely use it for combat. Again, it's going to be the same problem. He's not going to hold it all that well. He can only most easily hold this one, which, I mean, it's a little disappointing, but it's not too bad. Don't get me wrong, you know. I mean, when it comes to action figures and just toys in general, it's always going to be hard to want to decide what you want to pose your characters with. So obviously, Superfly is no exception to that. You know, he suffers from that same curse every other figures have. unless you're a GI, unless you're a GI Joe. I mean, then that's different. You have literally every like holster you could think of to hold your stuff. But you know, I just thought I'd kind of point that out because that's honestly my only problem with the figure, is that he just doesn't hold his stuff very well. But don't let that take away from the nice sculpt that we got and the good paint, you know, the detailing, especially all the sort of, not scales, but obviously I'm guessing they're supposed to represent veins or maybe hair. I think that that's very, very kind of a wise choice for Playmates to do that. You know, at least they add some sort of texturing and detailing for their figure, so I think that's fantastic. So of course, you know, just to kind of end the video off, let's do a size, you know what, no, let's not just a size comparison, let's do you know, let's compare him to other Fly characters throughout the series. Well, mostly Baxter, but you get the idea. Here he is next to the classic Playmates Toys Baxter. And this is not the reissued version that came out recently this year. This is the actual OG, like 80s action figure. So let me see, just to kind of show you guys that I'm telling the truth. If you look at his butt, I do apologize. It says 1989 on it. I know you can't really see it too well because my camera's kind of acting dumb. I cannot believe we're staring at this dude's ass, but okay, whatever. And he's definitely one of my favorite TMNT figures of all time, and you can even see like the whole turtle swat thing that he got going on, to kind of give you an idea. The only weird part is that he came with like this weird thing to kind of help with the grip, but honestly, you don't really need it. And another thing to point out too is that this was actually the reissued version that came out in the 90s, because this part is supposed to be painted blue, and then this part was supposed to be painted brown. So there were some versions where it was actually the opposite. So now that I think about it, I don't know which version I don't know what the reissue did, because I know that they have a couple of weird paint stuff going on, and I've been thinking about buying the reissue, but I'm not too sure. I would love to review this figure someday, even though I'm showing it right now, but it's honestly one of my favorite toys. So I guess you guys can kind of see why I like this, you know, this sort of aesthetic with the crazy scientist and fly thing, because technically Baxter was sort of kind of was inspired by like the Fly movies that came out in like in the 50s, and then they did a remake in the 80s. And then of course here it is compared to his 2012 counterpart. So this is the one that I told you guys about, that he was a little bit of both. You know, it was a combination of both the you know, the whole science creating robots aspect, and then on season 2 he gets mutated into a full-on Fly, and then around like the end of season 4 he gets cured, and you know, unfortunately he never really shows up again after that, after he becomes human again. But you know, it's still a good figure. You know, a lot of people were kind of disappointed with this one, but I still think it's pretty nice and cool, you know, for what it is. It's a half man, half Fly, and he does look very reminiscent of like I don't know if it was called Return of the Fly, you know, like that. But I mean, it's an old 50s flick, so I don't really expect people to kind of know it, but just to kind of put the idea out there. The only downside is that sometimes he does have trouble standing, and I will be honest, I don't really like the way his wings are posed, but it's still a nice figure for what it is. So I guess I'll just kind of put him over here, just kind of show you, and there you go, you got the whole Fly family right there. For the most part, I think that's all of them. I don't think I'm missing any versions of Baxter, and of course these are from Playmates. This is not counting Super 7, not counting NECA or anything like that. This is just specifically solely Playmates toys, and this is definitely a beautiful evolution. Now that I think about it, I feel like I'm kind of missing someone. Actually, hold up, we do got another rendition. We also got a tiny little Superfly. There you go. He came with the weird mini packs that you get at Five Below. And in case you're wondering which ones I'm talking about, I'm talking about this one. There you go. Happy birthday. But of course, I can't just stop the comparison without showing off the boys, and then of course the girls too. Okay, look, we don't discriminate. All right, I get it. All right, I know Leatherhead is a girl in this incarnation. Okay, we don't discriminate. All right, okay. So as much as I want to compare him with the turtles, nah. The bad guys are way cooler in my opinion, but I will show off at least Leo, and yeah, he does kind of suffer maybe a little bit from the whole You know, bad guys should be bigger than good guys scenario. I mean, they're both relatively the same height, but obviously the turtles are slightly taller, which some people might not like that. You know, I mean, heck, at least we could let's experiment. You know, let's fight Leo. Let me see, and it kind of works, not really, but I'm not gonna downgrade the figure for that. I'll still give it maybe. I mean, I've always loved the whole fly aspect of the half man, half fly thing, so unfortunately, this is kind of an easy score. I kind of have to give it a 9 out of 10. I really do like this figure a lot. I mean, this entire wave has been very solid, and I'm very happy that they're still going on with it, so it's not the end yet. So, of course, we're not done going over his crew, but technically, kinda, we are sort of officially done with Wave 1. I still gotta review the party pack, and I still gotta review you know, the glow-in-the-dark ones, and of course the turtle talks. That's going to be the next ones. The next toy review, it's going to be Ultraman related, obviously, but you get the idea. That's how it is, you know. And then after that, Ninja Turtles, Marvel Legends. Hard to really say when I'll do those. I mean, honestly, I'm still in the middle of fixing my collection because, as some of you guys know, I've been a little bit sick, and just to kind of show off. So here is my progress. You got those G.I. Joes, you know, and oh my god, I still got such a long way. Look what a mess I got. I mean, at least the Godzillas and the Ultraman figures look pretty sick though. So I thought I'd kind of show that off, you know. I mean, yeah. It's gonna take time because this is not final. I gotta fix it, so this is not how it's gonna look. I mean, it looks like a mess. Hi, Beast. Okay. So yeah, that's about it for now. So of course, until then, thank you guys for tuning in. So like I say, you know, I've been just a little bit sick, nothing too serious. I just really tired and all that, so I gotta rest up. So hopefully, of course, after Thanksgiving or so, I do plan to kind of get a little bit back on track, a little bit more. You'll see some videos here and there, but you know, just to kind of give you guys a good idea on the schedule. So until then, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe for some more toy reviews and toy talks, and that's about it.